All right, buckle up because we're going deep today. Diving into synthetic biology, where engineering meets living systems. We've got a cocktail party chemistry episode on this, plus some cool stuff on drug discovery and even neuroscience tools. So get ready to explore custom-built cells, the FDA, and maybe even unearth some surprising facts.
Yeah, it's wild. It's incredible how far we've come, from just watching life to actually designing and engineering it. It's like leveling up in science.
I like that, leveling up. But before we hit that level up button, can we just start with, well, the basics? What exactly is synthetic biology?
Okay, so basically it's taking those engineering principles, the ones we use to build bridges or computers, but applying them to living systems. Like we're talking about understanding the basic building blocks of life so well that we can tweak them and create brand new biological systems with, specific
So
functions.
it's like we're learning to build with biology.
Exactly. And one of the coolest tools we have is the custom gene circuit.
Okay, now that sounds pretty high-tech. What is a custom gene circuit?
Imagine writing code for a computer program, but instead of lines of code, we're using DNA sequences. By designing these custom gene circuits, we can stick them into cells and essentially reprogram them to do things they wouldn't normally do.
Hold on. So we can actually program a cell? Like we program a computer? That's insane. I remember that episode from Cocktail Party Chemistry. On modern drug discovery techniques, they talked about CRISPR and directed evolution.
Oh, yeah,
Do
definitely.
those play a role here?
Totally. CRISPR, for instance, acts like a super precise pair of molecular scissors, so scientists can cut and edit specific DNA sequences. And directed evolution, well, it's basically like fast-forwarding natural selection in the lab, so scientists can create enzymes with superpowers.
So if we can create these custom gene circuits and use things like CRISPR, does that mean we could engineer cells to do pretty much anything? Like could we make cells that produce clean energy? Or cells that hunt down and destroy cancer cells?
Yeah, those are some of the real possibilities that scientists are looking into. It's like having a toolbox full of biological parts, and you can just put them together in endless combinations. The potential is huge, from medicine to energy and beyond.
Wow, that's incredible. So we're building with biology on this tiny scale. But what about building entire cells? Are artificial cells like a synthetic version of the cells we find in nature?
They are, in a way, artificial cells are these man-made compartments designed to kind of mimic the functions of living cells. They might not be like alive in the traditional sense, but they can do many of the same tasks.
Why would we want to create something that's almost like a cell but not quite? What's the advantage there?
One big advantage is artificial cells give us this simplified model to study the basic processes of life. Think of it like trying to understand this really complex machine. If you could study a smaller version with fewer parts, it'd be way easier to figure out how it works, right?
Right, right.
That's what artificial cells let us do with biological systems.
Okay, so it's like a way to break down the complexity of life and study it piece by piece. It reminds me of how scientists use toxins to study the brain, which we learned about from, you guessed it, another cocktail party chemistry episode.
Yeah, exactly. Just like scientists use toxins to understand the brain, they use artificial cells to understand life itself. By studying these simplified models, we can get some really valuable insights into the basic principles of all living things.
So by building these artificial cells, we're essentially reverse engineering life to understand its fundamental building blocks. But what about the building blocks that are already out there in nature? I imagine nature's chemical toolbox is pretty diverse.
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of compounds out there in the natural world, each with its unique properties. Some of these compounds can be incredibly beneficial, while others, like we learned in the episode on marine and fungal toxins, can be pretty dangerous.
Speaking of fascinating natural compounds, I'm thinking about the episode on cannabinoid chemistry. We learned about endocannabinoids, our brain's own natural cannabis. They're crucial for regulating things like mood, pain, and appetite. It's amazing how our bodies naturally produce these complex compounds.
It is. What's really interesting about cannabinoids is their diverse effects. For example, while THC is known for giving you the munchies, there's another cannabinoid called THCD that might actually suppress appetite. Imagine a diet drug derived from cannabis.
Whoa, a cannabis-based diet drug. That's wild. Talk about unexpected connections. So we have this incredible potential to engineer life, create custom gene circuits, and even mimic cells. But where does the FDA fit into all of this? They must have a pretty big role in regulating this field, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. The FDA plays a crucial role in making sure synthetic biology products are safe and developed responsibly. As this field grows, their job gets even tougher as they try to figure out how to regulate products that blur the lines between drugs, devices, and even living organisms.
Speaking of the FDA, I came across some interesting facts about their regulations. Did you know they once banned a perfectly safe food color, red dye number 2, Just because it looked like a dangerous chemical, it makes you think about how looks can be deceiving.
Yeah, it does. It really highlights the complexities of risk assessment and how sometimes regulations are driven by more than just science. What one person might think is totally safe could be a concern for someone else.
And here's another one. They have this like secret blacklist of words that can't be used in drug names. To prevent misleading claims, no cure, safe, or magic allowed.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like they're trying to keep expectations realistic and based on scientific evidence.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in science and medicine, marketing and perception matter. The FDA has this tough job balancing promoting innovation and protecting consumers from misleading information.
So we've explored the basics of synthetic biology, dug into the world of natural compounds, and even uncovered some quirks about FDA regulations. But all of this leads to a bigger question.
What's that?
With all this power to engineer life, create custom cells, and manipulate biological systems, what ethical considerations should be guiding us? Where do we draw the line between what we can do and what we should do? What are the potential benefits and risks of literally building life from scratch?
These are the big questions, the ones we really need to be thinking about as we go deeper into this uncharted territory. The potential of synthetic biology is huge, but so is the responsibility that comes with it.
This deep dive is making me rethink things. We're talking about potential as reshaping life as we know it.
And that's exactly why we need to be having these conversations. We need scientists, ethicists, policymakers, and the public all working together to make sure synthetic biology benefits everyone.
It's not just about scientific progress. It's about making sure that progress aligns with our values and our vision for the future.
Well said. We need to approach synthetic biology with wonder, but also with caution, be bold in our explorations, but humble enough to know the limits of what we know.
It's like we're holding this key that can unlock all these amazing possibilities. But it's up to us to decide which doors they're in and what kind of future we want to create.
And remember, with every door we open, we'll find new challenges and new opportunities for discovery. It's a journey of exploration and responsibility.
So we've only just scratched the surface of synthetic biology, but I hope this deep dive has sparked some curiosity, maybe even a little bit of awe. But before we get too carried away, what stood out to you most from everything we've talked about so far?
For me, it's the sheer potential. The potential for synthetic biology to solve some of the world's biggest problems, like finding sustainable energy solutions or fighting diseases. But at the same time, I'm struck by the potential for things to go wrong, unintended consequences. We have to be careful and constantly think about the ethical implications of what we're doing.
It's a powerful reminder that with great power comes great responsibility. We need to approach this field with optimism, but also a healthy dose of skepticism.
I agree. It's so important to have these discussions, consider different perspectives, and question our assumptions as we explore this complex world of synthetic biology.
Well, we've covered a lot today, but this is just the beginning. We'll be back soon to dive even deeper into the fascinating world of synthetic biology.
Yeah, it's a constant balancing act. Got to push the boundaries of what's possible, but also, got to be mindful of the risks.
Like walking a tightrope between innovation and responsibility.
Exactly. And to make it even more tricky, we're always finding out new stuff about the natural world, which could lead to even more synthetic biology applications. Remember that episode about marine and fungal toxins?
Oh yeah, those toxins, some of them are incredibly powerful.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Some of those same toxins have actually shown potential in treating diseases like cancer. Scientists are studying how to modify them, harness their power for good. It's kind of like turning a villain into a hero.
Whoa, so something harmful in one situation could be beneficial in another? That's fascinating.
Yeah, that's the beauty of synthetic biology. It's all about understanding how things work at a really basic level so we can repurpose them.
Okay, let's circle back to custom gene circuits for a sec. Can you give me a real-world example of how they might be used in medicine?
Sure, imagine engineering immune cells to target and destroy cancer cells. That's something scientists are working on right now. By designing a custom gene circuit that recognizes cancer cells, they can reprogram immune cells to attack the cancer, but leave healthy cells alone.
That's incredible. So instead of using chemo, which can have all those nasty side effects, we could potentially program our own cells to fight the disease.
That's the idea. It's still early, but the potential is huge.
What about using synthetic biology for the environment?
There's a lot of buzz around engineering microbes to clean up pollution. Imagine microbes that break down plastic waste or absorb harmful chemicals. It's like giving nature a boost to heal itself.
Wow, so we're not just talking about building new things, we're talking about actually restoring damaged ecosystems. This is starting to sound like science fiction.
It does, right? But these possibilities are based on real science. It's about understanding those intricate mechanisms of life and using that knowledge to make things better.
But out of this talk about manipulating life, it brings up some ethical questions. It feels like we're stepping into uncharted territory. Where's the line between responsible innovation and crossing ethical boundaries?
That's a question we should be asking all the time. And there aren't any easy answers. As scientists develop new tools and abilities, we all need to be part of the conversation about the ethical implications. What are the risks? What safeguards do we need? What could happen that we haven't thought of?
So it's not just up to the scientists, it's about involving everyone and having a conversation about what's okay and what's not.
Exactly. We need open and honest discussions about the potential benefits and risks of synthetic biology. It's not just a science thing, it's a societal thing.
This reminds me of that secret blacklist of words the FDA uses. It's like they're trying to keep things grounded and prevent overhyping scientific advancements. Is that something we need to be extra careful about with synthetic biology? Could the hype overshadow the ethical concerns?
Absolutely. The possibilities of synthetic biology are exciting, but we need to stay level-headed. We can't let the hype get out of control, while still recognizing its potential to change things.
So how do we strike that balance? How do we share the excitement without fueling unrealistic expectations or downplaying the risks?
It's tricky, but I think it starts with clear communication. Scientists need to be upfront about their research and acknowledge both the potential and the limitations. And the media needs to avoid sensationalizing things and provide context and nuance.
Sounds like a team effort. Scientists, the media, and the public, all working together to shape the narrative.
Exactly. Open dialogue is key. We need to create spaces for people to ask questions, share their concerns, and really engage with the future of this technology.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential benefits, the risks, and the ethical side of things, but I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges in synthetic biology right now? What are scientists struggling with?
One big challenge is complexity. Living systems are incredibly intricate, and we're still figuring out how they work. It's like trying to build a skyscraper, but only having a basic grasp of physics.
So we have the tools to manipulate biology, but we're still learning the rules of the game.
Exactly. We're constantly learning, and our understanding of biology is always changing. It's a dynamic field with new challenges and discoveries all the time.
What about the cost of research? Is that holding things back?
Yeah, research and development can be expensive, especially when it comes to new therapies or technologies. But as the field progresses and tools get better, we'll probably see costs go down. It's like any new technology. As it becomes more common, it gets cheaper.
Right, that makes sense. So we've got the complexity of biological systems, the cost of research, and then the ethical considerations. Sounds like synthetic biology is facing a triple threat.
It's definitely challenging, but it's also incredibly exciting. The potential to solve some of humanity's biggest problems is huge. Imagine a future with microbes producing clean energy, personalized therapies based on your genes, or crops that can handle climate change.
Now that sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel. But are we getting ahead of ourselves? Are these possibilities really within reach?
It's important to be optimistic but also realistic. We've made incredible strides in synthetic biology, but we've still got a long way to go. We need to keep investing in research, working together, and tackling the ethical challenges.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, but what about the successes? What are some of the most exciting breakthroughs in synthetic biology lately?
One of the most exciting areas is gene editing. CRISPR, as we mentioned before, has been revolutionary, but scientists are developing even better gene editing techniques, more precise, more efficient. This could be huge for treating genetic diseases and creating new therapies.
So we're basically getting better at rewriting the code of life.
Yep. And another area that's really taking off is engineering microbes for different purposes. Scientists are using them to produce biofuels, create new materials, even develop sustainable food sources.
Wait, microbes as food? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, there's this growing movement to find alternative proteins. And microbes are looking promising. Certain types of microbes can be grown to produce high-quality protein. It's nutritious and sustainable, like turning these tiny organisms into little food factories.
So you're saying we might be eating microbe burgers someday? Now that's something to think about.
It's a really interesting possibility, and it shows the creative thinking that's driving synthetic biology forward.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the challenges to the breakthroughs and everything in between. But before we wrap up, what's one final thought you'd leave our listener with as they keep exploring the world of synthetic biology?
I'd say stay curious. This is a field that's constantly changing, and there's always something new to learn and discover.
So this is just the beginning. The best is yet to come.
I think so. Synthetic biology has the potential to change the world, and it's up to all of us to make sure it's for the better.
Oh, right. It's crazy to think about all the stuff we've talked about, like custom-designed cells, microbe-based food. It feels like we're stepping into a whole new world.
Yeah, we are in a lot of ways. Synthetic biology is really making us rethink what's possible and how we interact with nature.
You know, it's really cool how this field brings together so many different areas of science. We've talked about chemistry, genetics, computer science. It's like a science matchup.
Totally. That's one of the things that makes synthetic biology so interesting. It takes experts from all these different fields to come together and solve these really complex problems.
It's like that analogy you used earlier about building a skyscraper without really understanding physics. It seems like collaboration is key.
Absolutely. We need scientists working together, sharing their knowledge, and pushing each other to think differently.
So we have this incredible power to engineer life, but we're still trying to figure out the ethics and the complexity of these biological systems. It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, it is. And as we move forward, it's really important to keep those ethical considerations front and center and make sure everyone's voice is heard.
What would that look like? You know, having everyone's voice heard, how do we make sure that happens when it comes to shaping the future of synthetic biology?
It starts with education and transparency. Scientists need to explain their research in a way that everyone can understand. We need to create spaces for people to talk, share their concerns, ask questions, and learn from the experts.
It's like we need a new kind of science literacy, one that helps people understand these complex technologies that are changing so quickly.
Right, we need to demystify synthetic biology and give people the tools to help shape its future.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What should they keep in mind as they explore this world of engineered life, custom cells, and microbe-based burgers?
I'd say stay curious and think critically. Ask questions, look for information from reliable sources, and don't be afraid to question what you hear.
So we need to be both excited and cautious, embrace the possibilities, but also recognize the risks.
Exactly. Synthetic biology has the potential to change everything, but it's up to all of us to make sure those changes are positive and guided by ethical principles.
Well said. This deep dive into synthetic biology has been a wild ride. We've explored cutting-edge science, grappled with ethical dilemmas, and maybe even caught a glimpse of what's to come.
It's been great exploring with you, and remember, the journey of discovery never really ends.
So true. To all our listeners out there, keep those minds curious, stay engaged, and join us next time for another deep dive into the world of science and tech. Until then, happy exploring.